Former President Donald Trump is suspected of using inflated financial statements to incentivize banks to provide him with better terms for loans. We read through 400 pages of court documents so you wouldn't have to, and here's what we found. Trump is on trial for alleged financial fraud in New York. The New York Attorney General has accused him of regularly inflating his net worth by between 17 and 39%, over $1 billion each year.
Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization repeatedly and persistently manipulated the value of assets to induce banks to lend money to the Trump Organization on more favorable terms than would otherwise have been available to the company, to pay lower taxes, to satisfy continuing loan agreements, and to induce insurance companies to provide insurance coverage for higher limits and at lower premiums. This conduct was all in violation of Executive Law, Section 6312, which gives the Attorney General broad and special powers to go after persistent and repeated fraud and illegality.
One of Trump's key defenses throughout the deposition was that his financial statements, which he passed along to banks to consider as part of loan applications, included what he referred to as a worthless clause. Basically, a page-and-a-half disclaimer that the information provided was not audited. The former president oscillated between saying that he thought the information was accurate and stating that the information was completely void because of this clause, and the banks should not have believed any of it. These financial statements reportedly overvalued properties including Trump Tower and Seven Springs in New York, as well as Aberdeen in Scotland, by millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars. Trump claimed, "I have attorneys that are saying this is the strongest worthless clause they've ever seen. That's why when you say that a bank borrowed money on my statement, and yet they read 2 pages worth of stuff saying don't rely on this, it says don't rely on management, don't rely on anything. Right in here as clear as you can. And very good lawyers have told me this is a case should not have been brought because of the worthless clause. They said I can't believe it. It says go down and get your own accountants. Go down and get your own, your own appraisers. However, this is in contention with other requirements that arose in the course of loan negotiations. Mr. Wallace, the lawyer representing the Attorney General's office, brought up one such clause, which states, Donald J. Trump is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, and for designing, implementing, and maintaining internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement. In regards to a loan negotiation with Deutsche Bank, Wallace questioned, so Deutsche Bank is requiring you to say that your financial statements are true and correct in all material respects. Is that correct? Trump, Deutsche Bank is asking for my financial statement. I gave them my financial statement with the clause in it that we've been talking about all day. And they could have accepted it or not, but that's the financial statement they got. We gave them that financial statement. They read that clause with a fine-tooth comb and they accepted it. That was it. Wallace, and so it's your position that the statements you provided to Deutsche Bank were true and correct in all material respects? Trump, I would say yeah. I mean, look, the statement I provided was the financial statement that they got, and the financial statement was subject to that clause that was on page 1 and 2 right up front. It wasn't hidden. When asked how his accountants and lawyers arrived at their valuations of the properties, Trump explained, I think he just uses good faith. You'd see a property, and I think he looked at comparables perhaps, but I never went into it very much. I paid much less credence to this than even you would think. Throughout his deposition, Trump relied heavily on the idea that even if properties were overvalued in statements provided to banks, the properties have nevertheless increased in value over the years, or have the potential to go up. In his eyes, if he did not fail to repay these loans, regardless of whatever information they were negotiated on, there's no issue. Trump said, if the city ever comes back, you can convert the entire tower of 40 Wall Street into condos and make an absolute fortune. Far greater than the 500 or 600 million probably that the building is worth now, probably more than that. But you'd make a fortune on condos. I could say that with Seven Springs. Doral is zoned for thousands and thousands of units. In other words, we would be able to build all those condos you see coming right up to the edge of Doral, that would be extended onto if I wanted to do that. I just don't want to do that now. At some point, I may want to do that. You're saying I built up numbers. Well, it turned out I didn't, because the numbers are much higher than they were. So therefore, I didn't build up numbers. These numbers could have been much higher based on this. Expectedly, Trump went after the Attorney General's office and New York as a state, claiming that the trial was a sham. He repeatedly mentioned that the office should focus on violent crime in the city rather than prosecuting him, and claimed that his New York properties would increase dramatically in value, reaching the values he reported in financial disclosures, if the state were to, quote, come back. The former president said, "When I bought Mar-a-Lago, I paid $8 million for it, and today I think we're going to be bringing in people that will tell you it's worth $1 billion, $1.5 billion, maybe more than that. But I bought it for $8 million in 1985 or so. And I believe that Seven Springs could be that. If New York would ever get its act together, which is a big if because I just don't know that they will, they spend all their time investigating me instead of stopping violent crime in the streets. But if New York ever got their act together, if the city ever got back, Seven Springs is the Mar-a-Lago of New York. It's the most incredible place, and I think it has a great value." When asked how he was valuing his properties, Trump referred to interest from rich potential buyers multiple times. The questioning went like this: "Wallace, just to clarify, have you actually gotten offers for these properties from the people you're talking about? Or just your expectations?" Trump: "I never asked for an offer, but people have said to me, if you ever want to sell Turnberry, let us know. I would be able to sell Turnberry quickly for a tremendous amount of money." Wallace: "Anyone outside of people you consulted in the conduct of litigations who have offered? Who have told you, if you sell Mar-a-Lago, I would like to buy it?" Trump: "Over the years, yes, but I can't remember who at this point. People have come up to me, wealthy people have come to say, if you ever want to sell Turnberry, if you want to sell Mar-a-Lago, if you want to sell any of my other clubs, which are amazing, if you ever want to sell, let us know." Wallace: "Okay, but as you sit here now, you don't have the names of specific people who have offered this to you." Trump: I don't even know who the people are. I know they're very rich people." Trump relied on brand value throughout the deposition as a factor often not considered within financial statements, but that significantly increases the worth of his assets. This was used as part of a justification that he did not, in fact, defraud banks, making them believe that Trump Organization properties were worth more than they were. The former president claims that his brand carries a value well into the billions. He said, "The biggest thing that is not included is my brand. My lawyers never bring it up, but the brand is the biggest, and you can maybe double or triple my statement. But my brand is, if I wanted to create a good statement, I'd start off with sentence 1, my brand is worth billions and billions of dollars." Even when banks specifically wrote that they were not interested in brand value as part of their assessment, the president stuck by this idea that it would compensate for other areas of potential overvaluation. Trump explained, "My point is, even if they don't want it, if I wanted to build up a financial statement, I could have built up a financial statement much bigger than what I had that you're claiming was too high. 2.9 billion, I could have put that on the financial statement, and whatever the number was, I could have increased it by 2.93 billion. It wouldn't be a Trump trial without some fireworks, and you've been so patient waiting through all the legal details. So here are some of the standout bonus moments from the deposition, where clearly tensions were running high. There was this weird moment about whales and windmills. Trump said, "They built a wind turbine, but I think it's inappropriate. They're doing it all over the United States. They're doing it in our oceans. They're probably killing whales, which are washing up to shore, which nobody has ever seen before. Many whales are coming in where they're doing it up in New England. No, I'm not a fan of wind." This testy moment between lawyers. "Mr. Keyes, we're going to be here until midnight if you keep asking questions that are all over the map." Mr. Wallace, "Chris, we're going to be here until midnight if your client answers every question with an 8-minute speech." And this one. Wallace, "Oh my God, are you capable of reading a spreadsheet?" And last but not least, the time when Trump tried to show the value of his property by having those in the courtroom look out the window. Trump, "It's right there. Would you like to see it?" Wallace, "I don't think we're allowed to open the windows." Trump, "Open the curtain." Wallace, "No." Trump, "Open the curtain. Go ahead. It's right here. I just looked out the window." Wallace, "It's not." Mr. Robert, "Can't open it?" Wallace, "I wouldn't."